Hitler killed 17 million people, Stalin 23 million. Even the great Genghis Khan had only killed about 40 million. Mao Zedong killed 78 million, the most of any dictator. But one man eclipses all of them combined. And he only really killed two people. This man is Gavrilo Princip, and he assassinated Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife Sophie. So, how did a 19-year-old indirectly kill 200 million people? The story goes like this. Archduke Ferdinand, mustache enthusiast and the heir of the Austro-Hungary Empire, was visiting Bosnia, a part of the empire that wanted to break away to form Greater Serbia with Serbia. The Archduke was a staunch opposer of this. The Archduke visited Bosnia with little to no security as he did not want the Bosnians to think he doubted their citizenry. Six hardline Bosnian nationalists prepared to assassinate him with the help of Serbia as there was mostly no security and the roads that the Archduke would visit were published in the local newspaper beforehand. When the car passed through the first three assassins, they couldn't act, but one of the six threw a bomb at him. But fortunately, the bomb bounces off the Archduke's car and hits the next car, and it injured about 16 to 20 people. The Archduke's car races to the safety of the town hall. The Archduke is furious at the lapse of security that put his and his wife's life in danger. The governor convinces him that as the threat is neutralized, everything will be okay. On that, yeah. But the Archduke insists that he wants to meet the wounded at the hospital. As the story goes, Gavrilo Princip, who was one of the assassins who missed their chance, had gone to a cafe to eat sandwiches or to drink coffee at the road in which the bomb was thrown at the Archduke. And by pure coincidence, or not, just kidding, the Archduke's driver takes a wrong turn and they end up at the same road where the bomb was thrown. Princip takes his chances and shoots the Archduke and his wife Sophie. Alright, he killed an Archduke, but how would that result in the death of 250 million people? To understand that, we need to look at a bit of world history. The First World War. When Princip killed Archduke Ferdinand, Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia as it believed that the Serbians assisted the assassins. Germany decided to join the front as it always wanted to expand its borders and declared war on Serbia with Austria-Hungary. And it also declared war on Belgium. As Belgium was a neutral country, the UK declared war on Germany. And Germany started to advance towards France through Belgium. America joined on the UK side and the Ottoman Empire on Germany's. Serbia called upon its good friend Russia to help them in the war effort. Boom! You have a world war. Trench warfare, naval battles, chemical wars, bombings on civilians. These are the things that made this war so deadly. But this death toll was only about 40 million. How did it amount to 250 million? Because a man with a funny mustache became the chancellor of a funny country in a funny time. The Second World War. After Germany's defeat at the First World War, its army was dismantled and it was forced to pay reparations after a crushing defeat and the shame on the fatherland. And then the Great Depression happened. The German people were left penniless. Inflation was so high that German children were playing with their worthless currency. This led them and the Nazi Party. This is how the First World War is linked to the Second. Germany conquered Poland with the USSR and the UK and the US joined to form the Allied powers. The USSR switched sides and became one of the allies when Hitler backstabbed Stalin by attacking Russia. Japan joined Germany to form the Axis powers along with Italy. Air bombings, underwater attacks, vicious wars on beaches, and nuclear bombs and the Holocaust totaled the death to about 75 million. Alright, if you total the amounts, you get 115 million deaths. Huge, but nowhere near the 250 million I mentioned. For that, we have to follow a Russian passenger in a train the Germans sent to Russia in 1917, the USSR. To stop Russia from attacking Germany on the Eastern Front, Germany sent a peculiar young man to Russia on a train. By young man, I mean a 4 to 6 year old. This man was Vladimir Lenin, the most prominent figure in the Russian Revolution, which stripped the Tsar of Russia, Nicholas II, of his powers and changed Mother Russia forever. Lenin established one of the most strictest and most violent dictatorships the USSR the world has ever seen. He was succeeded by Joseph Stalin, even though Lenin didn't want him to. The crimes this dictatorship committed resulted in the death of about 70 million people. Stalin, in his desperate struggle to hold on to power, committed many atrocities, even against his own people. This estimate also includes state sponsored communist revolutions carried out across the globe, such as the Korean War, Vietnam War, and the Chinese Civil War, which leads us to Communism in China was founded by Li Dezhou and Chen Duguju. Li was the head librarian of the Peking University. Never underestimate librarians, they may control a seventh of the world's population. The Chinese Civil War put Mao Zedong as the head of the country. Mao was a Stalinist. His great leap forward, which attempted to industrialize an agrarian economy, caused a famine which resulted in the death of an upper estimate of 40 million people. His cultural revolution killed millions more. The upper estimate for the death toll of his atrocities is 78 million. The Bengal Famine. A cyclone hit Bengal, one of the most fertile regions in India. This cyclone made the yields so low that contemporary records said that dead bodies filled the roads because the surviving people were so weak to even bury the dead. But then, Winston Churchill, the British Prime Minister, instead of aiding the country, took grains from India to feed the British soldiers fighting against Germany. But the thing is, there was already enough grain in Europe, and he responded to the question why aid was not sent by writing in the side of his report that if the famine is so bad, why is Gandhi still alive? His attitude worsened the famine. The starvation, death, and destruction caused totally amounted to about 3 million deaths. The partition. The partition of India and Pakistan is one of the most bloodiest partitions ever. The British, after the World War, did not have the resources to hold on to its colonies and wanted to remove her forces from her colonies fast and gave the task of dividing the subcontinent into a Muslim majority Pakistan and Hindu majority India to Cyril Radcliffe, a person who had never been to India before independence. The Radcliffe line drew a border on people's lives. In many places, people had to leave their birthlands and homes. About 20 million people were displaced and 3 million died. It would be completely wrong to assume that if Princep had never shot, 250 million people would be alive. Tensions between the Central Powers and the Allied Powers may have still existed and resulted in a world war, though the incident causing it may have been different. The first Russian Revolution in fact happened without Lenin, but it established a democratic yet incompetent government which Lenin overthrew. So the Russian Revolution was bound to happen, but it wouldn't have established a violent communist government. But partition of India and Pakistan may have been less violent, but it is still interesting to see how one gunshot impacted history.